being a voice actor is a good idea, because there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, you're talking to a microphone and people give you money. You know, that sounds like a freaking awesome idea. The problem is the exact same reason for people wanting to join, is that technically speaking, yes, you are talking into a microphone and getting paid, and a lot of people want to do that. Hence, there's a very, very intense level of competition to get these jobs. So, if it's actually right for you, you never know. So the best way you can figure out, start off small. There are different levels of voice acting. The lowest level is probably the free stuff. So, for instance, there's a website called Voice Acting Alliance. It's literally a forum. You go on there, people post up auditions. They say, hey, I'm making a web cartoon. I need voices. Here are the characters. Send in an MP3. Let me hear what you sound like. So the best thing you can do is just invest a small amount of money, get a good USB microphone. I myself, for all of my auditions, I use the Blue Yeti Pro. It's a USB microphone for Windows. If you have Mac, I believe it's pronounced Apogee. I'm not positive, but it's a brand of microphone. That's really all you need. Find a good place to record, something that's acoustically dead, meaning like, for instance, it doesn't sound like this room sounds very echoey. You don't want, hi, and you don't want, how's it going? It sounds like I'm talking inside of a box. You don't want any of that stuff, just something nice. So a walk-in closet with clothing hanging around, that's usually good enough. So start off there, you haven't invested, thousands of dollars into your equipment, and start auditioning for some free projects. If people are hiring you, if people like working with you, now you have some incentive. I've heard a lot of people who've said, oh, my friends tell me, stop right there. My parents love mine, stop right there. The problem is your friends, your family, yourself, not objective. They love you, they care about you. They're gonna say, you're great, oh, you should totally pursue this. And you might be like, yeah, and find out that, no, nobody wants to hire me. And I've moved to Los Angeles, where it's super expensive to live, and I now have no money. What have I done? And you don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to sabotage yourself. So finding out the best way to do it, objectively, find people who want to hire you. Next step up, small things that pay a little bit. These are even better, because even if it's just like 20 bucks to come in and do a few lines for like an indie game, that's money that somebody's actually giving to you. They have an investment. And so they're not going to BS with you. They're not going to say, oh, you're great, if they didn't like it. If they don't like it, they're going to be like, that was terrible. No, I'm not hiring you ever again because you stink. Now you know. Okay, back off. Maybe it's time to change things. Maybe you need to get lessons. Maybe you need to take some improv classes, whatever. But you need to figure out where you need to go. It's not a big deal. But if you're working, you're getting hired for a few things here, now it's time to step up to the next level. The next level is probably going to be anime. The weird thing about anime is that as fans, we look at it and go, this is a cartoon show on television. This is the big time. But the reality is, in terms of what you actually make, it's actually really way down here at the bottom. Most people you'll find who do original animation almost never do anything anime because they go, gee, it's not worth it to me. The money is just not there. I have bills to pay, and I'm not gonna come in and scream for 2.5 hours to get $100. That's crazy, absolutely not. So the good news about that is because you don't have big, huge stars of voice acting doing anime, that's a way you can get in. It's an intro, it's a way of saying okay, the big guys, they don't want a piece of this, I want a piece of this. I love anime, I want to be in anime. It makes perfect sense. So that's a good place to start. I can't speak about Texas, because I got no clue how things work there. Same thing with New York. I have never even been to New York, so I can't even talk about that. I can talk about Los Angeles, however. In LA, there are two, I would say, different studios that do anime. There's Bang Zoom and there's Studiopolis. I've got some friends who have done some stuff at Bang Zoom, and it's interesting. They say to me, I'm really concerned about being a Bang Zoom baby, and they refer to Studiopolis as Fort Knox. And it took me a while to figure out what they were talking about. A Bang Zoom baby, according to them, is somebody who does some work for Bang Zoom and can't seem to get anything anywhere else. That there's some sort of a stigma, oh, you're a Bang Zoom guy, you must stink, or something like that. It's actually not the case at all. Studiopolis isn't Fort Knox. Studiopolis is just as hard to get into as every single other studio out there. Because most people go, I don't know who you are, I don't know if you're any good, and I don't have time to waste. So I don't want to hire you. This is one of the reasons why you hear the same people in freaking everything. And you go, how come they don't find new people? Because they don't want to take that risk and go, here's a new person, they might stink, but I'll give them a shot anyway. Reason Bang Zoom is easier to get into, and this is probably the simplest way to get into anime, they have classes there. You can literally sign up and take classes at Bang Zoom. Tony Oliver, who's a voice actor, teaches those classes. So maybe you take Tony's class. Worst thing happens, you improve your skill, you learn how to act, you get better at it. Great. Well, maybe, for instance, Mami Okada, who is like one of the lead directors over at Bang Zoom, she sits in on a class and goes, hey, that guy over there, he's pretty good. Talks to you after class about being in an anime. That's a way in. It's like an actual straightforward approach to get in. Most places though, in the entire voice acting industry are not like that at all. Just getting an agent in Los Angeles is a huge pain in the butt because they don't want to know you unless they know you're going to do a good job, unless they know you're going to be somebody who goes out there and actually gets jobs and makes them money. So that's part of the dilemma that you're going to run into is how do I actually get in? Some people have made voice acting demos where they'll go to a demo producer. It's fairly expensive to get like a really high quality demo, like around a couple grand. It's not cheap. But it's this amazing sounding thing with like sound effects and music and stuff that really emphasizes how good you are. And then they'll say, okay, I made this great demo, and they'll send it around and nobody bites. And they go, why does nobody bite? It's for the exact same problem that it's so hard to get in the first place. Because people will say, well, yeah, did you make that demo in like an hour? Or did it take several days worth of work because you're not a good actor and it took this director squeezing every last ounce of freaking talent out of you to make this demo? They don't know, so they're worried about taking a risk. If you have something that other people don't have, however, it can actually be a lot easier to get into an agency or to get into Studiopolis, for instance, or any other studios. For like, if let's say there's a lot of roles for Australians, like an authentic accent Australian, go. Me? I can't do good accents. I stink. My accent, especially my Australian accent, is just terrible. It's really bad. No, I'm not going to show you. But the point is, like, boy, my tastes great. You know, it's terrible. It's really stereotypical nonsense. But if they're like, no, we need an actual person who sounds like he's from there, and you're actually from there, hey, now they've got a reason suddenly, oh, come on in, sign the papers, let's show us what you got. Because they need you. So if you've got something that's actually very unique and authentic to you, that can be a bonus. The smartest thing you can do with this, though, is start off small and build. The industry is all about connections. And those connections aren't necessarily like you kiss the right butt, you get in. It doesn't work that way. It's more along the lines of people know you and people recommend you. In Los Angeles specifically, I don't know about smaller areas, but Los Angeles is so big with voice acting, there are tons of opportunities. So most people have, their competitors are actually their friends. Like, I'm friends with a bunch of voice actors, and we all recommend each other to different studios. So, like, for instance, I've never been to Seattle in my life, but I'm friends with Xander Bovis. Xander is the current voice of the announcer from the latest Smash Brothers game. So the guy who goes, ready, fight, that guy. He's a buddy of mine, so he was like, hey, I'll tell the guys in Seattle about you up at Nintendo. So now I've got a contact with Nintendo, so maybe they'll send me an audition sometime for who knows what, right? Cool, but that's how it works. And of course, I'm recommending him to places saying, hey, you should see my buddy Xander, he's really good. Here's some stuff he's done. So everybody kind of helps everybody out. And the problem is, if you're on the outs with people, if people just don't know who you are and you're just some random guy, that's where things get difficult. So it's not about kissing the right butt, but it is about being around people and being a part of the community and trying to help. The smartest way of getting into that community is basically coming from a place of learning. As long as you approach people and say, like, I'm interested in this, but I don't really feel like I know what I'm doing, can you offer me any advice? People are more than willing to help. The trouble is that a lot of people do this, and it doesn't bother me, but I do understand why it bothers people. They'll basically say, I want to be a voice actor, will you give my demo to people? Or will you tell people about me because I'm really good, will you help? And that is almost always met with a negative response. I was at this thing, I don't know if you guys listen to these, it's a podcast by Rob Paulson called Talking Tunes. And he basically interviews a bunch of different people, many times it's a voice actor. And it's held at the Improv in LA, Comedy Club. And there was a guy there, I was with a guy, maybe you guys know him, his name is Kerbifer. He does Flash animation. Anyway, He's making this original animated series called Tone, The Terrain of Magical Expertise. We're sitting there, we're getting something to drink before the show, and this guy comes up with this look on his face like this. And we're just going like, I don't know what this is. And he just sort of like keeps sitting down right nearby us and like looking for a reason to talk. So we could kind of like look at each other like, okay, what's going on with this dude? And he starts talking. And one of the things he mentions is, he says to Kerber, he says, I mean, I know you're really busy, right? And he goes, what are you talking about? He goes, like, well, you're working on Tome, right? And he gets kind of freaked out, like, okay, I don't know you just come out of nowhere and start, you recognize me from the internet, what's going on? And he goes, well, I'm actually a voice actor. And Kurt got kind of mean with him, and he was like, okay, stop. What do you mean you're a voice actor? What have you done? And he's like, well, I've done some stuff online, like some cartoons. He's like, no. What have you done professionally in a studio? And he's like, well, I'm taking some classes, and I thought, he's like, no. Have you done professional work? No. Okay, well then don't go around telling people you're a voice actor. That's not cool.